Let's
Yes.
rumble.
Okay,
Let's
so,
do
all
it.
right. So here's the question, rhetorically, and if any of you want to answer, I would love a response. But how many of you guys are dialed into your personal, your business finances, and your pay logs on a routine and monthly basis? Eileen's good, Shannon's good, Derek's good. So I'm going to give you a model for success that I learned in the core coaching. And basically it has three components. It has the completion of a monthly pay log. And the reason that it's important for you to understand what's, your pay log on a routine basis is that's revenue. I want you guys to stop in 2021 thinking about your commission checks as commission. And I want you to think about them as revenue for your business. And then your pay log, if we had a system here, if it was a assembly line, our pay log goes into our profit and loss. And our profit and loss, really, for those of you who don't have a separate checking account specifically for your business, now is the time to start thinking about those things for 2021 and utilizing that account to track all of your losses and all the profit that you may gain. And then whatever's left over from your P&L every month will dump into your personal finances. And so those are the three resources here. Pay log goes into profit and loss goes into your personal finances. And so just starting with these theories, if you will, or models, I'm going to share my screen with you. You guys can follow along. I know Chrissy sent these out earlier, but you should see how to use the pay log. So we're going to write down every anticipated closing that we have. And we're going to identify that as a gross column for commission and a net, meaning how much if we're at 2.5% of $1 million, our gross is 25,000. Our net is going to be after commissions, after TC, after paying EXP, their stock price, what that net actually looks like. And then we fill out the bottom, and I'm admitting some people here. We're going to fill out the bottom so that we can monitor each month whether we're winning or losing. Now, I'm going to scroll down here, and we're going to go to the actual pay log so that you guys can see that, which is right here. So here you go. This would tell us when we're closing. This is our revenue. If we're running a business, we go, well, where's our revenue coming in so we can plan accordingly? Derek will tell you when you're running a market center or a large brokerage, you want to insulate some of this revenue so that when times are rough during the winter times, you can potentially lead generate more. And the bottom here will tell you, and the pay log will tell you based on your lead tracker, how much money you can anticipate during this month. So here's our gross, here's our net based on whatever split, and then the ultimate sales price. It's important to track your sales price so you know each year if you're growing, right? As you get into this industry, probably most of you will start out with sales prices that are maybe even below the median sales price in your area. By about 5 to 10 years, in the industry, you'll see turnover after turnover after turnover, your sales price will go up. And then we want to also track where that business is coming from. What do you think, what document do you think comes before your pay log each month that you're filling out? And it starts with these. It should be your lead tracker. Okay. Today we're focused more on the financial aspects of it, but before the pay log becomes the lead tracker, and before the lead tracker is your greatness tracker. It's actually, or your 55111, whatever you're doing. And so for activities, so we go activity log, lead log, pay log, P&L, private financing. Or personal finances, excuse me. So if we go down here, we can see, okay, well, gross for this month, 45,000, net's 22, volume 2.5, and we can look at and see what our gross commission versus our sales and what we're charging. It's important that we look at these things each week or each month at the end of the month, so we know what does our commission look like, what's our volume look like, what's our price point look like, how many units we closed, what our net average was this month, how many units we've closed year to date, what our net commission was this month, and what our net commission was year to date. This is a simple way to state the health of your revenue that's coming in. Now you can also add down here, you see your average team expense. Many of you probably don't know necessarily what you're spending on your business every month. Super important to understand this, because if you, for instance, are looking at these sources of business and none of them are, for instance, Zillow, yet you're paying $2,500 out a month for Zillow, you may, at the end of 3 months or 2 months, say, wow, this is a waste of money. I need to allocate this into something else that's going to make me revenue. Okay. And then we can go by these months to months to months. We can look at our projected year-end income. Another thing we talked about when we're when running a team, when running a brokerage, is an all hands on deck approach. This is a really simple way. If you've got your pay log out and you understand the progress of the pay log equals your lead tracker, to get halfway through the month and go, wow, this isn't going to meet my business survivability. I really need to clear everything else out. This is why we were listening earlier to the kind of the Tom Ferry daily video, what you're doing daily. But this is a really good test for by the middle of the month. If revenue isn't coming in, you need to drop everything out, and just pump into that lead tracker. All right. So what we've given you here is a formula to track your revenue. And then here's the example, here's the example pay log that we've given you so that you can start utilizing this. My suggestion, guys, is you take all these and you put them in some type of a binder. Many of you are really technologically savvy, but I suggest you take it and put it all in a binder like this. And you got your pay logs, you got your lead trackers, you got everything in one binder, and it's easily trackable. You can leave it here for your assistant, and you know where everything is as far as organization is concerned. All right, so we move on from the pay log to the profit and loss. And the profit and loss, you'll see, is divided up into many different sections. Section 1 has to do with expenses. Section 2 has to deal with outside income. Section 3 has to deal with your net commissions coming in from your pay log. And I'll explain to it in a minute, but Section 2 is any other money that's coming into your business. So it could be revenue share. It could, if you're coming from Keller Williams, you're still getting profit share. It could be profit share. It could be rental income. It could be money coming in from your buyer's agents or your team members. The goal here, guys, always, and if there's one thing that you remember from this conversation, if you're trying to build a business or a smooth real estate team, it's this. You're not profitable until your Section 2 income, which is passive income, exceeds your expenses. Truly, then you're profitable because your Section 3 income or your pay log is all profit. Does that make sense? And that's the concept, and I'll show you how that works in a moment. And then Section 4 is we're going to subtract all of our revenue versus expenses and determine what our bottom line is. And our bottom line is going to go where? Our bottom line number is going to go into our pay log. All right, so here's the example profit and loss. That's what it looks like. So we've got office expenses, you got rent, you got coaching. By the way, if you guys aren't in some kind of a coaching program, it's the best thing that you can invest in yourself in 2021. Phone and internet costs, supplies, postage, printing, copy, ad photos. This could be internet. This could be listing, listing 3D tours, all of those expenses that go in here. These are your lead expenses. So for me, this would be Chrissy. We'd have Chrissy in there. You could also add your transaction coordinator potentially in here if they're on a salary or if you're paying them a per, something above a per transaction fee. And then you've got miscellaneous income or miscellaneous expenses here, signs, VIP gifts, lunches, if you're paying any type of outside insurance. And then you've got, if you're running your personal expenses through your business, these could be like a leased car, fuel. healthcare, cell phone, entertainment, those types of things you're going to add into personal expenses. What's that? Oh, sorry. Hang on, I'm letting somebody in. Oh, he's not there. So then we move up to, so that's all our section 1. These are all expenses itemized. Section 2 is going to be outside referrals, outside revenue, rent, anything coming in from your buyer's agents, anything coming in from revenue share, and ultimately you see here, there in this example, this person's revenue outside of just real estate sales equals 7,100, and they've got a total expenses of 20,000. So they're a little bit offset by their revenue coming in, by their section 2 revenue coming in. Section 3, this is copied directly over from that month's pay log. We've got, in this case, a $30,000 revenue coming in. We've got number of units, and we've got revenue per unit, and ultimately total revenue. And then it's simple from there. We take section 2, which is our passive, section 3, which is our pay log, and then we subtract section 1. That gives us our taxable income. In this case, it's $16,309. We're going to take out 30% for Uncle Sam, put it in a money market account, write a check to the IRS, however you want to do it. And then ultimately, our after-tax income is $11,416. Now, this guy's running a lot of expenses through the business, which is nice for a write-off. You've got to check with your CPA and see how this works for you. The importance is tracking it on a routine basis. See what and understand what you were writing off and those types. But after tax income, after all that work for the month, we're taking home $11,416.30 to our household. And so what this means, how much money do you have in your business account? Are you paying yourself or your staff a salary? Some of you may be incorporated and you're just taking just paying yourself a monthly salary. What the taxable income is, what your tax balance is for that month, and then what your profit is. Do you remember I said profit is actually your passive income minus your total expenses? And that holds true in this. In this case, this agent is saying, even though I made money, the actual profit, because I want to think about business differently. I want to think about sustainability in my business. And to do that, I really do need passive income coming in, either from team, from referrals, or from revenue share. Maybe maybe that month, if you're at EXP, you cash out some stock and you're using that to supplement. Whatever it is, that's your profit. And then you say personal expenses run through the company. This is what your CPA loves to see. And then, excuse me, ultimately, you'll be able to project your year-end gross taxable income and then what your taxable income paid to the owner is, okay? So I know that's a lot of information, but for many of you who aren't tracking this on a routine basis or who are just getting into the industry, I would ask, and I always ask you guys this when I'm teaching some class, but how long do you think a franchise would stay in business if they're not doing a monthly P&L or they're not tracking their pay logs? And I think all of you would say the answer is probably not many. And so as we become business owners, it's important that we're tracking not only our sales numbers, but what those equate to as income, as taxable income, as gross income, and as profit. Okay, so that is what your profit and loss should look like, and we've included a blank profit and loss form. And again, I'm going to go back and say this for those of you who may just chimed in or who this will help the light bulb go off with. There's 4 financial forms. There's one form that leads to the financial forms. We've got to be doing the lead tracker that leads to our pay log, that leads to our profit and loss, that leads to our personal finances, and before that is the greatness tracker. Number 1 is greatness tracker. Okay, so here's your profit and loss form. Now, let's go back to the top, and then we're going to look at personal finance. So here's some systems for you from the core to pay your personal bills. Pay bills once a month, typically by the third or fourth of the month. Keep all income checks in a separate envelope until the end of the month. If you have a binder like this, it's great if you put an envelope in the back and you stick all of your receipts in there and you stick all of your paychecks in there. That way at the end of the month, you have all your receipts to go along with your profit and loss. It makes it an easy system for you. Pay only bills that must be paid go into the minimum amount owed column. For example, a credit card with $5,000 balance has a $50 minimum owed. The survival number is the total of this column and the minimum we need to earn every month. So I'd ask, do you guys know what your survival number is? The survival number is what are you obligated to pay out every month based on your personal finances. That's a survival number. Hey, my house is this much, my car is this much, my gas and kids and everything is $12,000. That's the survival number. Total saved is everything paid over and above a house payment, rental, stocks, etc. On column 5, and then column 2, and then column 3, and then column 4 is your amount saved. I'll share with you what that means. There's some reconciliation between column 3 and column 5. Aim for a 20% savings for every monthly budget. Would that be great? That would be amazing, right? If we're saving 20%. And then we're going to fill out the bottom, obviously, to see our progress. And so when we go down to what a personal family budget example looks like, here it is. So this is our house payment. This is our balance. This is what we owe. This is what minimum owed. Maybe we're paying more. And then we go to auto, same thing. How much do we owe? What's the minimum? And what's our actual payment? We've got electric, gas, phone, cable, sewer, water, dry cleaning, etc. We've got daycare, cell phone, insurance, all those things. And then at the bottom, we've got spending money. Now, Rick Ruby, this just goes to see how disciplined you are. But what Rick Ruby and the core are teaching is, hey, all your spending money goes into an envelope. You have the envelope in a drawer somewhere, and every time you need it, you go and grab it. And once it's gone, then you're out of your spending cash for the month. Many people think the debit card is the devil's work, if you will, in that it's so easy just to keep swiping, and that's going to take away from your goals and from your budget and from your profit. But so we have the minimum owed every month. We have the total that's paid every month. Here we have an amount saved in column 4, and in column 5 we have the total income. And so in this case, we've got rents, we've got refunds, something that was due, we've got our commission, and we can add our spouse's pay in here, which is going to give us our net income for the month. It's going to give us the amount that we've saved. This is the amount we've paid out, and this is our monthly survival number. Okay, it's important that we know these things. And then at the bottom, we can track both the balances for our accounts, and we can track our net worth. We can track how much we're giving, and we can track, the balances of our net worth in accounts. And so this is an easy system, if you will. Again, things that we do routinely, the pay log, the profit and loss, and the personal budget should be things that you guys are doing routinely. And how would it look at the end of the year is if you could give all of these to your accountant along with the receipts for each month in the back of your binder and simply be done with taxes. That is truly the goal. So with that being said, we've got about 7 minutes left. What questions do you guys have in regards to these forms, how to implement them, who's looking at them? What I will share is, before anybody has a question, is when you're in the core coaching, these are reviewed on a routine basis by your coach each week. And so there is every other week. So there is a significant amount of accountability. What I would say that you should do, for those of you who are married who also have a financial goal, and you don't have to be married to have a financial goal, but your spouse can help you keep accountable to these numbers. You can get an alignment, if you will, based on this system and these forms. Plus,
the other thing they can do too is they could bring in, like, if you have children or something like that, let's say that if you get to a certain amount of net income a month that's on a recurring basis, or you get your business floating dollar amount to a certain dollar amount, you could say, hey, we'll take the kids to Disneyland, and tell the kids that if we get to this number, and then they'll hold you accountable as well. Because the worst thing I think is that tell your kids you can't take them to Disneyland or whatever they want to take them to, right? So a high level accountability. If you don't have a coach or can't afford to do that at the moment, you can utilize the ones around you to do so.
Yep, I love that. I love that. That helps to keep you accountable. So after everything is said and done, those guys, here's the concept that you should be thinking about. Like, I've gone to work, I've done the greatness tracker, I've done the activities, I've gotten the leads, I've gotten the closings, I've done the P&L, do the pay log. This is what matters. Ultimately, what are you bringing home to the family? What are you saving? And what is your net worth? This is why we go to work every day. This is why we work our asses off compared to other people, why we slave at nighttime to understand if we're growing financially. And so if we're not, we talk a lot about being accountable to our leads and to our time and to those types of concepts. But I'd also like you to commit in 2021 or even for the rest of the year. And this is one of the reasons that we wanted to do this class before the end of, introduce these concepts to you so that you can start really implementing these before the end of the year and be able to fire off in 2021. Sorry, guys. And I'm going to move everybody.
Stopping.
Okay. Well, we want you to fire off and start these concepts. We'll be talking about a lot of these concepts in the upcoming business clinic. We haven't identified a date yet, but it will be sometime probably, what do we see, Derek? The end of the first or second week of November, right?
Yep. Hopefully first, if possible.
And it's going to be in person. We'll also broadcast it. But for those of you who are in the Bay Area or Southern California, dude, we would love to see you in person. I'm thinking about the night of that event, having a mixer at my house and having everybody up and have catered sushi and have some drinks and do some connection. And be great to see everybody kind of around the holidays. I know some of you are very COVID sensitive, and I seriously appreciate that. And I promise to social distance myself at my house with you, and we can't have more than 3 households together. Anyway, so those are things that we're working on in the background, but I'll open it up now. Anybody else have any comments or best practices or things that they'd like to discuss or talk about in regards or in relation to what we've covered today?
So Sean, I have, I'm a spreadsheet nerd. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I use to track everything. And I love it. I'd be happy to share where I have the name, their birthdays, whether it's a cell, I just put an X, the cell address, buy address, their home anniversary, the amount the home sold for, gross, my money to EXP, money to my TC, EXP's money up for that, the first, however much that is. What's that, $65 up to $500, and then it stops it. But anyways, it's all just with the macros, everything. I put all the math in there, so it just automatically calculates. And then I can just highlight what I've done, but I can see through the end of the year what I am netting. But anyway, I love it. I love it as a tracker, and I'm happy to send it out to everybody.
Send it out. Yeah, blank it out and put your account numbers on there and send it out. Just kidding. But
I'll keep all my addresses. You guys can steal my contact.
We have these forms in spreadsheet format as well, and I'll send them out for those of you who are spreadsheet junkies and don't want to recreate the wheel or don't want to put it in. The reason that I didn't send it out, though, I'll be honest, is, guys, I really want you to do these binders. I know it's old school, but it's what the top 5% of salespeople in the world, in the nation, are using a system like this, where it's just super simple. I know where my leads are every month. I know where everything is. That's what and there's less confusion in it. Where's that spreadsheet? Or I lost it, or I didn't update it. No, it's just right here. And so really focus on, and I haven't told Chrissy this yet. She's going to hate me. But for that business planning clinic, we're going to have something very similar to this, where it's pre-done for you guys for 2021, and you don't have to go and create it, and you can just rock it. That's the plan. Shannon, Lee says, Shannon, I'd love to have that. And Samantha says, thanks for sharing, Shannon. Andre says, please send to me. 2. All right, cool. Okay. Anybody have anything to say before we come end the call? I really appreciate you guys jumping back on at 11:30. This is a very important topic. For those of you who weren't on the first 5 minutes of the call, I had a very important call today, and I'm always learning stuff in this industry. And had a call with a senior underwriter for title insurance that didn't want to issue title insurance just because they didn't feel comfortable. There was no legal backing behind it, and we were able to leverage them through some heavy, heated conversation and an attorney to issue the policy, so it all worked out. But I appreciate, those things happen in our world. So if you guys need anything, I know a couple of people have called and had some one-on-ones with me via Zoom over the past couple of weeks, just talking about their business. Please reach out, please plug in and let us know if we can do anything for you. If you're struggling out there and you're lost and you don't know what to do, call one of us. Call one of us. There's a lot of about 80% of the real estate world right now is spiraling. They're digging their head in the sand in the most lucrative market for agents that we've seen for a long time. So let's get out there, get your fair share, and go get them for the rest of the week.
Really quick before you, sorry to add this in at the end, but so our offer didn't get accepted, and I was in my mind thinking that counter offers usually happen. Does anyone have any advice they want to throw out there for? I know you always go in as strong as you can, but is that becoming more common where people aren't countering?
Okay. I've got a couple of things for you, and then Derek, I'd love for you to share your, with the buyer website.
Yeah.
That we chatted about the other day. But Adam, who's not on this call, Adam and I wrote a progressive offer the other day, and it said we will what did it say? It said we will beat any received offer by $1,000. We will match and beat any received offer. We'll match the terms and beat any received offer by $1,000. That's called a progressive offer. That's not one that you would normally write. These people had the money. They loved the house. They go, we'll take whatever, we'll do whatever it takes to get this house. And it worked, and ultimately they paid like $50,000 over list price. The other agent showed me the offer. And I'm like, okay, progressive offer worked. Another thing, I'm not sure if you submitted the following. Derek, go ahead.
Well,
I submit a video.
Two things. Another thing you can do just real quick. You don't actually have to be the highest purchase price, right? You can do things such as, like on the last one we just got accepted, the way we beat them out, we actually had the same purchase price, but because the buyer offered to pay for escrow, title, transfer fees, all those things, those are a better net offer for the seller. And so that helps out. So those are things you can, you have to let them know what those costs are going to be, but it's really typically only a few $1,000s in our area if you're paying for extra, right? Because usually it's split. I mean, it's all negotiable. But something that we've been doing is our client put together a little website, like a one-page website, which had like a picture of, it's in Serrano, so the country club, and then it said to Susie and Bill, or whoever the name of the sellers are, and it said I had a couple of pictures of them, add a little video to them, talking about how they love the house, and then at the end it had a love letter explaining the same stuff. So there's different things you can do. Some of the listing agents aren't going to present those because they've been advised by their brokers not to, just because of some of the things that are in place legally for with regards to, I'm just based on the word, discrimination. So some of them won't submit them. In that case, then what you would do is just submit the offer letter. They don't want photos, but for the most cases, 95% of the time, they're going to submit that to the seller, and that helps pull the heartstrings even more than just like a letter and some photos, right? If you have a video from the buyers to the sellers. So those things have been helping out a lot. I think the biggest thing, though, for you, too, is to make sure you're having conversations, which you may have already had, finding out what's important to the sellers, right? It could be a rent back. It could be they want like a certain time of rent back, or it could be that, hey, they don't want the appliances going, so don't put them in your contract. Those are things like that just to make your offer super clean so you don't even get a counter. And ultimately, that's the biggest thing, is knowing what the seller wants and then writing as clean as an offer as possible right now, because we're all competing against anywhere from 5 to, some people I think have been competing against 20 offers. So
yep.
Awesome.
Another thing that you can do, Samantha, is present the offer to the agent yourself, and this has worked for agents who call me and go, hey, Sean, I know you're in the office. Can we meet, or can I drop the offer by? It shows me that they're seriously committed to the client. You got to understand, sales is about emotion. And if you can get the listing agent on your side emotionally, that they'll do the heavy lifting for you and sell it emotionally to the sellers. So, go outside of the box and present the offer. And, just depending, you can even ask, if you've got a good rapport with the agent, you can say, hey, do you mind if I come along with you and together we can present this offer to the sellers? Big time, out of the box. It's an option that's on the table, though, to separate yourself from everyone else. And at worst case scenario, what this looks like is me calling Derek and saying, hey, Derek, Samantha called me and, she's pretty tenacious. She dropped the offer by my house. And now she'd love to meet with you in person and submit on behalf of her clients their offer. Are you open to that? And what do you think they're going to think about you as an agent, Samantha? They're going to think, wow, she's pretty shit hot. Maybe we should give them a go. You got to understand, in some cases, and I know many of you veterans that are on the call here will accept an offer not at the highest price, not at the best term, but for somebody who they know is going to close the deal.
And the other thing I would do right now is be open to being in the backup position. We lost out because of the letter and video that someone else had submitted because it related to the seller, right? But they're not performing, and we offered, hey, can we be in the position 1 for backup offer? And so then it ends up falling out, and now we're in contract. All the reports are already done. It's going to be a super smooth close because we know exactly what we're getting into. So I mean, don't be afraid to be in backup right now because
we're in backup right now. I was bummed because it was 2 agents, and I tried to build that relationship with the only one that called me back, and they just switched over to EXP. It was a Remax office, so I was also trying to build that relationship, but I'm not sure what happened. I think they might have known the other agent, or it might have been a neighbor that knew someone. I'm not quite sure, but I was just curious, if that happened, if that's happening
Just
to
a
you guys.
couple tactics. I mean, you guys, really in this market, especially representing buyers, you really have to go outside of the box. Sending it to them via email, without a video, without a letter, without soft selling the agent up front, as Derek mentioned.
One more thing would be, if you may not know the listing agent, but you might go through LinkedIn and social media and see who knows that listing agent that and they can put in a testimonial about how you work, right? It's not just about who it's about the people that that may know that person, right?
Yeah.
Yep. But good job, Sam. Proud of you for submitting your first offer. That's good stuff.
Thanks for the advice.
All right, guys, go and fight. Win this week.
Woo!
Okay, bye.